Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Bloomy Brain podcast, where you come to water and nourish your brain, in turn seeing your mind, body, and spirit bloom. This is a very different in a good way, unique episode today because you guys are actually seeing me live on camera. You can see all my weird little dance moves. So Happy New Year's. I hope that everybody had a great, safe holiday season and that you guys are feeling invigorated and inspired by the new opportunities that 2023 will bring you all. And in congruence with that, today's episode is actually titled 25 Life Lessons Learned in 25 Years of Life. So I have been working on this list of life lessons since about 6 months before my 25th birthday, and now it's been about 4 to 5 months since that birthday. So, it was weird because it took me, I thought that I would have this out and release this on my 25th birthday, September 13th. But, sometimes you just have to listen to the signs and, let the wind blow you where it's going to blow you, and just know that maybe this isn't ready to be put out yet, because I think around my 25th birthday, I was like at bullet number 17 or 18. And I was like, I'm not going to rush these last ones just to get something out by my birthday. These lessons will come. And I mean, they would come at the strangest times, working out, in the grocery store, with friends, reading a book. So it's not really a list that I personally could sit down and be like, okay, here's the list. I wanted to let them all come to me and flow to me naturally and organically. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into it. Number 1, give forgiveness even when someone hasn't apologized. This will mentally set you free. So I am a big philosophy reader, and I'm a very big fan of Don Miguel Ruiz's work. He has The Mastery of Love, The Fourth Agreement, The Fifth Agreement, and he said something, I believe it was in The Mastery of Love. It goes a little something like this. When you open the wound with the scalpel of truth, the medicine for said wound is forgiveness. You are able to heal that wound with the scalpel of truth by forgiving. So even when someone hasn't said that they're sorry, you know what, guys? It's life, and there's no book of rules that comes with life. If there was, it would be a hell of a lot easier, but we don't have that. So we can't hold our breath waiting on people to just say they're sorry. They might not even know that you're waiting on a sorry, because sometimes unless you have verbalized to them that they've done something to you or that you feel a type of way, you're not going to get a sorry. So what is the point of holding your breath? Now, I'm not telling you, don't verbalize how you feel to this person and hope that you guys can meet in the middle or find a common understanding. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying if something doesn't serve you anymore, let's just say a bad boss, for example. A boss didn't see you for what you were worth, didn't value you, and made you feel belittled every single day. But it's been 8 to 10 years since that job. Forgive them, even if they haven't said sorry. They're not even thinking about you at this point. So just give forgiveness and release that from your body. Don't let it fester away anymore. Okay, the next one. Number 2, we don't attract what we want. We attract what we believe we deserve. I'm going to say that again. We don't attract what we want. We attract what we believe we deserve. So believe you deserve everything you want in life. And you see that's where the want comes in. You have to believe that you deserve it. You can't just say you want it and be sad that you're not having it. Are you putting in the work? And by that work, I mean belief. And to me, there are a million jobs and a million things that we do that are classified as work right now. So to think that you can have something by just simply putting in your belief to it, that seems like the easiest job of them all. I know it's easier said than done sometimes, but I cannot stress how true that this is. We don't attract what we want. We attract what we believe we deserve. So set the bar high. Set your standards high. If you can think it, it exists in the quantum realm. You can achieve it. You deserve it. So live life like you deserve what you want. You know, it's low frequency to not think that we deserve it, but still want and still expect to get it. You won't attract it this way. You have to believe you deserve it. Believe it so heavily that indeed it is already yours. How does it feel? How does your life look when you attract this? Okay. Number 3, only you know what is best for you because you are the only one that is walking in your shoes. No matter how much your friends and family love you and think that they know you best sometimes, at the end of the day, you have to politely remind these people that in order to live authentically, you must abide by your own daily vision. No one else is seeing life through your eyes. No one else is seeing life through your lens. So to be authentic, you really just have to know that nothing else that anybody wants for you, whether it be acquaintances, friends, family, coworkers, sometimes they have a diluted version of what your life actually should be because they're interrelating it to them and their life and where they want you in your life, or in their life, I mean. So you have to just sometimes remember and remind people that nobody is walking in your shoes and only you. At the end of the day, it may seem crazy to some, but at the end of the day, only you know what is best for you. Number 4, stop people pleasing. It is bad for your health and bad for your throat chakra. So I'm going to go into just a little mini story. About 6-7 years ago now, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune thyroid disease called Hashimoto's. So what this is basically your thyroid levels are just a little bit out of whack and out of balance. And your thyroid is like the second brain of the body. It controls all of your hormones and your energy levels, your sex drive, so much. So when that was out of balance for me, I was put on medicine. Over the years, I did switch to holistic because the medicine, my levels still just weren't where they should have been. This isn't everybody, but this was just my path. And I do feel a lot better ever since switching to a holistic route, which is taking the vitamins and supplements, exercising, being in nature. There was one thing particularly that I was going to say about this. It'll come to me. But basically, yes, diet. So diet was really big, learning to cut out all of the inflammatory foods, endocrine disrupting oils and foods, all of the things like that. That really helped get my antibody levels down. But my levels were still out of whack a couple of years ago, just still a little bit crazy. And so I started seeking help in podcast form and just listening to other people's stories and what they thought brought their conditions on. Is it genetic? Is it spiritual? All of these different things. And this podcast episode alone really changed my life. The host was interviewing a girl with my same condition, Hashimoto's. And at the end of the podcast, sometimes I skip through podcasts, and I'm really glad I listened to this whole episode because at the end of the podcast, she said, after all of the medical information was discussed and, everything from her doctors and how she's been handling it naturally and all like her diet, all of that was discussed. I could have easily tuned out, but I stayed, and she asked her, do you think that sickness is spiritual? And I didn't know what she was about to say because I had already kind of been formulating the thoughts in my own head of, is this spiritual? Is this spiritual? And she said, yes, I absolutely think that this is spiritual. Look at where your thyroid is. Your thyroid is in your throat chakra. Your throat chakra is, I want to say it's the fifth energy center right above your heart chakra, that governs speaking your truth, your voice, how you express yourself in this world. And she says, I was a people pleaser. and it made me sick. And then I thought about, I was like, because when you think about it, sometimes you're like, oh, am I a people pleaser? No way. No way am I a people pleaser. No. And then you just start really thinking about it and you're like, well, I'll be damned. I think that I have been people pleasing. I think that I have been showing up to parties so I didn't have to hear about it later that I didn't show up, or I'm flaky, or going to family functions maybe when I feel sick and don't want to let people down, or this birthday or that trip or this or that, or all the different things. And it's like, we're not octopuses here. We don't have 8 different arms for every single person to grab a hold of and take a little piece of us. We, as stated before, we are energy, we are frequency. And by spreading ourselves thin and giving our energy away just freely and without any protection, or, without any thinking before we're doing this, sometimes it can induce sickness into our energy field, into our bodies. And yeah, after I heard that, I went back to get my levels checked like 3 to 5 months later, and they were blown away. It was the first time in about like 5.5 years that they had ever seen, 5.5, 6 years, because I'm going on like 7 since being diagnosed now, that they had ever seen my blood levels not indicate that there were antibodies. There were just a very minuscule amount, but they could see that they were slowly going away. And it was just this crazy, just to think about, like, oh my gosh, I've really been making such an effort to learn how to say no. Like, that's insane that my body, like science, is literally indicating on here. I've changed nothing. I've been on the same supplements like the whole first year, and then started really working on speaking my truth, speaking up for myself, not doing things that I don't want to do, not going out to places that I don't want to be, not partying and drinking when I don't want to do that, when I'm just numbing my creativity and surrounded by people that probably don't even care about me. So to see that indicated on, something medical in my blood, that was just so profound and so beautiful to me. So yeah, I mean, this could be a great topic to debate sometime on here with someone else, but I personally am a believer that sickness is spiritual. You may not agree with me. This has just been my life and my experiences and, my health. But I think that there is something to be said there. Okay. Number 5, be confident in your decisions. And on here, I wrote about signing up for a little story about when I signed up for a new gym. And it was going to be a good bit more expensive, not a whole lot, still under $100, but I was used to paying like $24 for Planet Fitness that I wasn't using, and I was forcing myself to go because I was like, okay, you can go do your Babbel lesson on the treadmill, you can check emails on the treadmill. I wasn't very happy, and it was always extremely crowded, very like the location that I went to, at least. So I just like doing things a little differently sometimes, and like, adding yoga or Pilates, or maybe free weights one day, maybe cycle the next, maybe a rowing class. I like that differentiation. I'm someone that bores very easily. That is my toxic trait. And I'm self-aware of it. So I have to do things that keep me on my feet, keep me invigorated, keep me excited. And the traditional gym just wasn't anymore. So when I signed up or I went to try my free class at Hotworks, and it was the day before my dad's birthday. Some of you know on here that my dad passed away 3 years ago. And my dad was just the most larger than life, magnetic, energetic, beautiful soul of a man kind of person. And he did nothing that didn't serve him. Like, if it didn't serve him, he moved on, and he was unemotional about it. And he just, quick to the point, on to the next. I mean, I remember being a kid and trying to have conversations with him about, I feel like I don't want to let this go, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, nope, on to the next, on to the next. And, in my chamber of reflection on his life and, just what he was about, I do think that the reason he was able to sustain such a high frequency and have, an immense amount of longevity with his high frequency and, keep people up, keep himself up, keep those around him up, was because he didn't tap into the low frequency of the emotion of letting something go. He made his peace with it, he cherished it, and on to the next. So when I went and tried this workout class, it was just everything I had ever wanted. I felt so incredible. I mean, they're in 125 to 30 degree infrared saunas. It truly feels like euphoric spiritual breakthrough when you break that sweat in the sauna. And I really I wasn't sweating at my other workouts. Because sometimes it was cold outside, or sometimes, they had the AC going. It's truly not that I wasn't sweating, but it's very different working out in a sauna that feels like the Middle East. So I thought of my dad that day and I said, you know what? He would have done the same thing. He would have canceled the membership that no longer served him. He wouldn't have looked back. He would have started the new gym membership because he would have been confident in his decision. So bullet number 5 really goes out to him. Be confident in your decision making at all time and, trust your instincts. You are an intuitive individual. You're smart. Trust your instincts. We are feeling humans who think, not thinking humans who feel. So always remember that. Number 6, never settle for silver when you are gold, baby. Make it known what you want and what you deserve in this life. As long as you truly believe it, you will attract it. See, and that's just like another cute one. I wish that this particular one makes me wish that I dated all of these. That way I could kind of reflect and remember the time in my life, the month or the week that I wrote all of these. But yeah, this could not be any more true. And I have family and friends that like to rag on me at times for dating. I don't want to say dating around because I don't date around, but I guess just dating until the point that same thing. It just feels as though it no longer is serving me anymore. And then I move on. And not to say that I'm moving on with someone else, but with myself, because as stated previously, you are silver, or you are not silver, you are gold, baby. So don't settle in life. Life is too short to be anything less than happy. And there are so many ways to measure that. One of my favorite ones to do for friends, family, acquaintances, coworkers, is to say, are you happy? There are 7 days in a week. Are you happy at least 4 out of all 7 of those? Because if you tell me that you're only happy 3 and then the other 4, you're not feeling yourself, something needs to change, whether it's in your work, your relationship, so many different aspects and facets of how this could change for you. But yeah, never settle. And, kind of circling back around to the dating thing. I do not have a single bad thing to say about any of my previous partners. I love them all abundantly to this day, and I'm eternally grateful for all of them and all that they've taught me, all that I've experienced with them. No 2 people on this earth are ever going to be the same. So I am just so grateful for all that I have experienced with everyone I've been with, and that, saying that something no longer serves me does not take away from this person, their energy, their soul, and all that they are going to amount to and accomplish on this planet we love to call Earth. So yeah, number 7, your brain is a muscle too. What are you doing to exercise it? So that's really interesting. And, just going into all of the mind, body, and spirit, really caring and watering, nourishing your whole body, your soul, your energetic self, not just the outside of you. A lot of people enjoy meditation. I enjoy meditation, and I think meditation, journaling, reading, all of those things are really incredible ways, guys, to exercise that brain muscle. Even if maybe you're not much of a reader, sometimes I like to listen to books. I have an Audible account and I really enjoy to listen to them when I'm in the car, in the grocery store, working out. These are three things that it's kind of weird. They're like double-edged swords. Now that I think about it, those are like three of the things that I actually enjoy in this life to do the most, but they can feel so just wasteful of our time. Like, think about the drive that you're in. This was really solidified to me actually after my dad had passed, because I was like, wow, if I'm in the car for 20 minutes a day, I'm listening to these same songs again and again that I like, maybe a couple new ones here and there as times change. But like, I just started thinking about all of the people that you could call in the car and have meaningful conversations with them, because I think I was really thinking about all of the things in this life that I never had the chance to ask my dad, and I will never have the chance to ask him again. So I really started getting serious about taking your time in the car seriously. And, whether you want to read or call someone, I think that even talking to people, especially your elders in your family, your parents, your grandparents, that are not going to be around as long as you possibly, just because, science says they're older, so they are naturally going to leave this earth first. I think that it's a very good brain exercise to kind of absorb all of the wisdom and knowledge that they have for us as well. So yeah, exercise your brain. It is a muscle too. 8, call your loved ones often. I must have written these two together. So exactly what I just said. The whole story about when I lost my dad, thinking about how I will never be able to pick up the phone and call him again. And I think that when we have these awesome superhero-like figures in our lives, like moms, dads, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, friends, sometimes we call them and we want to, maybe vent to them and tell them all that's going wrong in our lives or all that we're stressed about, because we look to them for comfort. We don't, you really have to be intentional and, set the intention to have positive, happy, meaningful conversations and ask them about experiences that they've been through, and ask them about what their favorite color is, or what their best memory from high school is, or what the best book they've ever read is. I think that being intentional can help keep the energy so much more positive, because sometimes we don't always, naturally as humans, we don't always want to talk about everything phenomenal and great and incredible going on in our lives, because it can just seem like others don't want to hear it. There was a study that we learned in hair school like 8 years ago that said if somebody has a good experience, they're likely to tell 5 people. If somebody has a bad or terrible experience, they are likely to tell 15 to 20 people, because as humans, it is just so much easier to talk about all of the things annoying us, perturbing us, stressing us, all of those things. So call your loved ones often and set the intention to not just vent to them or have them solve your problems, because that's another thing. Is it's so easy to call your parents up when you're going through something and, Dad, my car broke down, or Mom, I'm late on this bill. What do I do? It's so easy to call people and vent and seek to have knowledge given to us about these things that we're going through. And while they love it, yes, but they're also still humans and still just want to talk, still just want to kiki it up on a Saturday night and, tell you about some of their past experiences. So call your loved ones often. Number 9, don't become indebted to things you once enjoyed. And I wrote a little dash here and I said beauty related, because being someone that is a cosmetologist by trade, that industry was, we just cosmetologists, people in the beauty industry in general, we just have typically like first look and first access to all of the newest, coolest, latest upcoming beauty trends, the coolest new hair extensions, the coolest new permanent makeup, or, gym workout, or like all of these different things. And so it's really easy to get lost in the sauce. And before you know it, you have a spray tan book every other week. You have an extension appointment, a highlight appointment, a nail appointment, lash appointment, like all of the things. And while all of these things are incredible to do and to have done, they should be, treated like a gift that you are giving yourself. You are giving the gift of something that makes you happy to yourself through self-care form. Because it's easy for them to, if you're not happy with them anymore, it's easy for them to become a chore. And what happens when they become a chore is, okay, let's take my hair extensions, for instance. When they started becoming a chore to me, I wasn't feeling as compelled and excited to pay for them. So then what happens when you don't want to pay for something anymore, but you're indebted to it because it feels like a chore to you? You don't value your technician. You're probably not super happy with the results because it just feels like something that you have to do. And it's absolutely not. You're perfect the way that you are. And anything else that you want to do to yourself should be an added bonus to how already beautiful you are and how incredible your mind is and how smart you are. And, beauty is fleeting. So treat these things like awesome, fun experiences to get done. And if it means enough to you, keep getting them done. Absolutely. But the second they start to feel like a chore and you're asking for a discount, or, you're trying to cut corners, and then you really get some sort of a bad job or hack job done by just trying to cut corners, you're not going to be happy anyways. So find that beauty comes from within, and don't get indebted to things that you once enjoyed that no longer serve you. Number 10, don't be a flake. It's one thing to say no to something you straight up have no interest in doing, but it's another thing to be a flake out of fear. Don't let fear hold you back from what could have been. Just send it. This one really coincides very well with social anxiety, because I find that sometimes I might commit to something and be so excited about it a month out, weeks out, a week out, a day out. And then the day comes and I'm like, oh my God, why did I commit to this? Why I didn't want to do this. Who's going to be there? Am I going to be judged? All of the things. And it's like your little anxiety demons creep up and they just want to tell you lies and tell you stories. No, stomp on those anxiety demons with the biggest, thickest boots that you have. Scrape them off of your boot, put them outside where they belong, because they do not belong in your aura. You are supposed to go to that event. You are supposed to go to that function. I mean, unless, as stated earlier, you really feel like there's not even a sliver of interest in going to said event or said function, then yeah, don't go. But if you're interested and your anxiety demons, your social anxiety demons creep up on you, smush them, get them out of your aura. They do not belong, and get your tail to that event, because you will be sad if you don't. If you let fear and anxiety keep you at home, exactly where it wants to keep you is at home and away from other people, like-minded individuals that you can be sharing and spreading the love, spreading your message with. So do not be a flake out of fear. 11, give and you shall receive. So I read, when my father passed, my mom gave me and my sisters, some of his books, his philosophy books. And to this day, one of the best books I've ever read is The Go-Giver. I'm off the top of my head, I'm forgetting the author at the moment. But this book, you guys, oh my God, you've always heard of the go-getter, right? But what about the go-giver? because what we put out in life, we receive in return. And this book basically, it's a very short book. I want to say it's like 120 pages, super easy to zoom right through. But it kind of reminds me of like the business version of Ghost of, what was that? Ghost of Christmas Past or something like that, where the Scrooge gets taken around and gets to see like all of these different things. It kind of reminds me of that, but with business. So I don't want to ruin it for you. I want you guys to read it. But basically this businessman that is just tanking, he's really not doing well, and he cannot figure out for the life of him why other people around him are doing just incredible with their own businesses. And this mentor takes him around, and it is just some of the most profound business advice I think that anyone could ever receive when it comes to being a charismatic and giving person, rather than, a healthy mix, go-getter and go-giver, right? But I had never really thought about that as much and started practicing that in my own businesses and endeavors until reading that book. And what I started seeing, be produced and be pulled out of just thin air, I mean, it felt crazy, and so much of it has to do with reading this book and aligning my thoughts with this way of thinking, this mindset. And of course, prayer and meditation help to kind of hone in on the message and the life that you are not only wanting to live, but to practice what you preach and be that person, becoming that person. So the go-giver. Number 12. Work and educate yourself during inevitable or lengthy tasks while driving, working out, read books. So this is kind of just being reiterated from one of the previous bullet points. As I stated earlier, to me personally, I don't know if this is how it feels to you guys, but to me personally, it can feel very wasteful of my time to be driving somewhere without listening to an educational podcast or a book, or without calling someone. Even same thing with the grocery store, working out, even if you're not like fully listening to what the workout is, or if you're just doing your thing and you kind of, why did I just do that little bicep thing? If sorry, I'm not used to having the camera going, guys. This is interesting for me. All of you watching this right now, I cannot wait or listening to this, I cannot wait for you to actually watch it. I think that it's going to bring just such a different feel. But back on topic. Yeah. So all of those things can feel a little bit like draining and wasteful of our time. So I like to use my time wisely, because at the end of the day, your time is money. So invest in yourself and educate yourself any free chance in the free time you get. Okay. Number 13. It's not always about producing. Sometimes it's about analyzing. So I think that there is a healthy mix of consuming and creating in this life, and it can feel like that meter is really out of balance when we're consuming too much. So for example, let's say you're on a vacation and you're not putting out anything into the world. You're just consuming the yummiest foods and the coolest excursions. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, I think that we can get lost in the sauce of creating too much to the point where we're not experiencing life anymore. And sometimes it takes those experiences to really give you the inspiration to create. So again, it's not always about producing. Sometimes it's about sitting back and analyzing and thinking, okay, where do I go from here? Do I want to create something else? Do I want to experience, consume? Yeah. Number 14, don't just post just to post. Sometimes I'm just going to be honest here. I think that many of us are addicted to our phones. So I think that we need to parent our inner child and be restrictive of our phones at some points, and make sure that they're not taking us away from everything that we're supposed to be doing, working on. Because again, consuming, sometimes we can scroll, consume way too much. And then it's like, you get this like weird feeling of, studies show that you should post X amount of times in a week. Yeah, there are studies that show that that's really great for your business. But you know what else is really great for your business is being intentional. Being so intentional to the point where you're not just posting fluffy, feathery posts just to post them, just to get them out, just to accumulate likes. Give people something with substance if you're going to post. Give people something that's relatable, that they can relate to you on, something heartfelt or something informational. People like that. So stand by what I say. Don't just post just to post. Number 15, be present in every moment. Don't think about the later ones. So this is an Elvis quote from Priscilla Presley's book, Priscilla Presley's memoir, Elvis and Me, that came out in 1985. Fun fact, they're actually working on a movie for this right now, and I'm a very big Elvis fan, so I'm super excited about this movie, which is going to kind of follow their relationship a little bit more rather than his life. But in the book, it just talks about how he had a very busy, very crazy, tumultuous life and career. And, he's a Capricorn, so he's very career driven. And him and Priscilla would be enjoying these moments, whether they would be on a trip or horseback riding or, with their daughter or with their friends or, out at a show. And she would say, I don't want this night to end, or I don't want this moment to end. I'm just having so much fun. And he would say, don't think about the later. Don't think about later. Just be present with me now. And it gives me chills. You guys have to listen to the book because you can really feel his energy come through in those lines that she speaks, because this is a man that was giving himself and his creative ability to the world. And some people may not think that it's that deep, but I think that what he was saying is so deep in a sense of that was what he needed. He needed to not think about those future moments yet, because his life is so busy, and those happy present moments were what kept him going. So even though Priscilla's only human and she's a female, and she wanted him to be the man she needed him to be for her own emotional stability and well-being, he needed to not be taken out of the present moment and cast already into the future ones. He really needed to stay present and soak up every ounce of what that present moment had to offer. And I think that humans today, it's easy to get caught up in past experiences in the present moment, and it's easy to look too far ahead and get caught up in what the future holds, to the point where the present moment is just withering away into nothing because we're not appreciating it. We're not making anything of it. So yeah, being present in every moment. Don't think too heavily about the later ones. Number 16, send it and expect nothing. This was a friend of mine. This is a friend of myself. This is his shirt, and his shirt had a quote on it that really just was very relatable to me and spoke volumes to me. Just such a short quote: send it and expect nothing. This really interrelates with the go-giver to me, because as stated previously, just, giving and expecting nothing in return. And when you put out that unconditional love of, you're just giving, and you're not setting conditions or the precedent that, if I give this to you right now, what do I get in return? Or, I'm going to give this to you, but, what are you doing for me? I scratch my back if you scratch yours, or I scratch your back if you scratch mine. That type of mindset can really get us nowhere in life, and just have you stuck in the moment of what do I, what is this person doing for me? When, just be a person that gives. Give and expect nothing, and I promise you will receive in ways that you can't even begin to imagine. Number 17, be a go-giver and a go-getter. So I guess a lot of these I'm just kind of repeating myself in a sense, but maybe the really important ones needed to be reiterated. So be someone that gives and be someone that wants to go out and get healthy balance. Number 18, if you begin to measure your self-worth in this world by the feature people deem most worthy for okay, sorry guys, I wrote this one a little bit weird, but let me see if I can kind of trim up the fat a little bit and make it sound right. So I think what I was getting at is, if you begin to measure your self-worth in this world by the feature that people deem most worthy about you, whether it be your body or your college degree or your family, or if you come from family money, or you're this or you're that, like there's all of these different things, your eyes even, there's so many things that we can kind of adopt as our personality and as who we are, but we're constantly growing. I always say, if you're not growing, you're dying, and we're all dying. So why not grow? So don't measure yourself by this thing that everyone else thinks is so wonderful about you, or maybe you think is so wonderful about you, but don't make it your entire identity, and certainly don't make it your entire identity if it's something that other people are measuring for you and you really don't even align with about yourself. So I just think that we will lose ourselves if we are measuring our self-worth and our value by what other people think is the best part about us, or if we limit ourselves to thinking, oh, there's only one great thing about me. Maybe I have great eyes, but maybe I don't necessarily love my height or something like that. So I'm just going to hone in on my eyes. No, don't do that. All of you is incredible. So love all of you, every aspect about yourself, every facet about you that makes you you. Love all of it, and don't measure your worth by one singular thing. 19, be mindful of the times you should create versus consume. So again, earlier I went into this a little bit, but yeah, perfect example of this is on vacation. When I was in Tulum recently, I hit a little wall after like the third or fourth day, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've just been doing, so much touring, so much eating, so much seeing, experiencing. I really feel like I need to put something out creatively. So I got to work on my podcast. I recorded a podcast about creative depression, and I actually recorded it in our Airbnb, which was really cool. I took photos for my blog to do an Airbnb review of that particular Airbnb that we stayed at in Tulum, which, guys, I 10 out of 10 recommend. Please, if you have not seen that article yet, go look at it. It is, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to go back. Very prime location. Everything you needed and wanted was right there, or within walking or biking distance. So yeah, but going back into being cognizant of the times that you should create versus consume, I think that there is just a very healthy balance of this, and a healthy balance in life helps us to not feel gluttonous and like we are just taking and not being appreciative of everything that this life has to offer us. And sometimes it can feel a little bit like that when you are in other countries, and when you're in other countries, it might as well be other worlds because they feel so wildly different. So, instead of just absorbing all of that, make time to still create yourself rather than consume. Okay, number 20. Don't sleep on self-care rituals that sound small but actually are doing so much for you. And for some reason, I wrote next to this one, hand and foot cream. This means a lot to me because, there are just so many things that we kind of skimp on in this life, or we say, no, I need to get up or get to that workout or get to work. I don't have time to meditate. I don't have time to do this or do that or cook something for myself. Make time for it. Don't sleep on these self-care rituals. And self-care doesn't have to be this like keeping up with the Joneses mentality of, oh, I have to go get this done and I have to go get that. Self-care doesn't have to break the bank. Self-care can, simply be breath work, can be taking the time to do a face mask in the evening. You know, I wrote on here hand and foot cream, and even that is therapeutic in a sense of we're on our feet all day long. Our feet ground us, our feet carry us from point A to point B. Take a little extra time with them. Take a minute or two at night to rub a little bit of foot cream, a little de-stress foot cream on there in the evening, and give yourself a little massage. I was in a yoga class. My friend Alexa Rose, she is Alexa Rose Flows on Instagram. She's off traveling the country at the moment and doing her thing, but she's incredible. She is a Reiki practitioner and a yogi instructor. And in one of her classes, she had us stop in the middle, kind of like it was like the second half of class, but she had us stop and really just give ourselves a foot massage. And she went into this whole spiel about exactly what I just said, our feet carrying us from point A to point B, and how we should take the time to acknowledge our feet, give them thanks and give them love. And, you know, you are able to give your body love by physical touch sometimes. So I think that is why I wrote the hand and foot cream on there. But yeah, don't sleep on self-care rituals that sound small, you guys. And James Clear, another great book, James Clear and Atomic Habits, he talks about how, you know, sometimes seeing change and creating change is just focusing and honing in on 1%. How can I be 1% better today? What can I do that is, you know, going to get me 1% closer to the results that I would like to achieve? Okay, number 21. Wow, I wrote a lot here. Okay. Remember your friends. Don't just pour into them when it's convenient to you or benefits you in some way, shape, or form. Go the extra mile yourself. Send them a card. Shoot them a text. Hell, it can even be while you're on the toilet, pooping, thinking about them. And just a disclaimer, guys, I don't do that. It doesn't take much to let someone know you love them or you are thinking of them. I have an autoimmune disease that I have been working on healing for a while now. This said, I'm not always physically able to pour into people by showing up at every occasion, dinner, etc. Sometimes I need a lot of rest, so this is where I put immense value on the wonders of a text, card, or call. Plus, majority of my friends live in different states now, so it can get challenging at times, but a little can truly go a long way. Shout out to my friends. I love you guys. Number 22. Fear can be paralyzing, but don't let it. You were meant to move, not to be held down by some crippling anxiety demon telling you lies. When I first started getting into my blog work, I had an abundance of limiting beliefs and fears and what if this and what if that. Yeah, you know what? What if this? What if that? It's better to figure it out now than to look back on my life at the end of my life and say, what if this? What if that? Rather than in the moment when it first came into my realm of thought, squashing it and saying, well, I guess we're going to find out what that what if is because I'm doing this. I'm fearless. I don't have to fear. You know, God didn't put us on this earth to fear. God put us on this earth to live, and you know, whatever that means to you. So don't let fear hold you back. Don't let fear paralyze you. Number 23. Let the seasons carry you. This is an Ayurvedic reference. So my friend Alexa also got me into Ayurveda when she was in yoga teacher training so Ayurveda is the ancient Sanskrit, Indian, like sister science that goes with yoga. So it's just talking about like aligning your body with nature, how our bodies all have circadian clocks and, you know, all of the things like that. And for so long, this was actually debunked by medicine and the medical communities saying, you know, that's spirituality, that's religion, that's not science, that's not science. Every time I say that, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Norbit, but every time I say that's not science, I just always think of Norbit saying that's not science. But anyways, so for a long time, this had been debunked by the medical community, basically saying, you know, this is religion, this is hokey pokey. But now Ayurveda is actually published in so many different medical journals all across the world, John Hopkins being one of them. So there is validity in aligning our body with nature and the times of day. We should be doing particular things, working hard, exercising, creating, sleeping, what times of day we shouldn't have caffeine anymore. And if you're wondering, I'll go ahead and tell you, according to ancient Ayurveda, it does say we should stop having caffeine after 2 p.m. If you're wondering, according to Ayurveda, the best time of day to work out, that is between 6 and 8 a.m. when our testosterone is the highest. So like I said, a lot of people debunked this for centuries and decades, all the things, but it is now becoming very prominent and prevalent in everyday life, especially if you are someone that enjoys yoga, aligning your body with ancient Ayurveda and with nature. There is so much truth behind it. And I got the book. You guys know I always link on my link tree all of the books that I read. So this one is linked on there as well. It's called like the Ayurvedic self-care ritual book, but it just goes all into the different doshas and times of day and all of the things. So I have really evolved my knowledge from that book alone, and I really enjoy reading it and aligning my body with these ancient practices. Going back to the self-care thing, they make us feel really good, and I notice a lot of difference in the best way possible in my life ever since really aligning my life with Ayurveda and meditation and all of the things. So 24, acknowledge the 4 characters of your brain. So we have, according to Jill Bolt Taylor in the book Whole Brain Living, she also had the book My Stroke of Life, I believe is the title. She is someone that studies our brains and neuroreceptors and how all of that works up there in the noggin. And she states that there are 4 different components of the brain. There are 2 sides of the brain, left brain and right brain. So we have left brain character 1, that is the more analytical of the 2, left brain character 2, that is the more emotional character of the 2. And your left brain is thinking in more of an individual sense of how does this affect me? How does this make me feel? So then taking it over to the right side of your brain, we have the right brain character 3, emotional, and then character 4, the more analytical of the right side. So the right side of the brain thinks more expansively. We are all one. We are all connected. We are all brothers and sisters of the world. So I just can't stress enough getting to know these different characters of your brain. One thing I really suggest reading the book Whole Brain Living by Jill Bolt Taylor. She even has you name each side of your brain. So if I'm remembering correctly, it's been a while since I've went over the names of them. I need to read parts of the book and refresh, but I want to say that I named all of mine. You guys know my name is Carly, so I named them like Carlita. That's one of my feisty ones. Carlos is kind of my aloof character. What are the other ones? They'll come to me, but yeah, Carlos, Carl, Carlita. I'm forgetting at the moment, but yeah, so the book is really good. And one thing that a good takeaway to share with you guys on the podcast that I really related to in the book is she said that when people are typically having religious or political fights, you are tapped into the left side of your brain, emotional character 2. So when people are having these types of fights, and they don't even have to be political or religious, it can even be a fight with your spouse, with a loved one, with a friend. When you're both tapped into that left brain character, emotional character 2, it does take someone to tap into the right side of the brain before the problem can be solved. Because if you think about it, if you're both in the left brain, you're thinking individually of how your words hurt me, but no, your words hurt me. Or, I don't agree with this. Good. Well, I don't agree with that. You're both seeing only through your own lens, and rightfully so. You're in the left side of the brain. So it does take someone to tap out of the left brain for a few, tap into their right brain, to sometimes problem solve and get to a common agreement, whether it's just an agree to disagree. I found a lot of validity in this book, and I really enjoyed listening to it because, as she states, balance in the brain is very important. Having that natural state of synergy and flow in the brain. The brain is a muscle, so having balance there too is very healthy, very good. And it also just kind of helps you tackle uncomfortable conversations in life. We just came out of the holidays, and a lot of friends of mine told me, oh, there were a lot of, different holiday conversations at the table with my family that I didn't particularly enjoy. Or, Uncle Joe and Uncle Bob were disagreeing about politics again. Or, my cousin that's Muslim was in a fight with my cousin that is Catholic, stuff like that. So kind of being able to see from the outside perspective of like, oh, wow, some of these fights are just people both tapped into the left side of their brain. I always say not to take life too seriously. And I feel like knowing information and knowledge like this kind of helps us to be like, wow, this is just all normal human things that we're going through, rather than taking things personally or feeling victimized by things or God forbid, getting into a fight so bad with your family, a family member at a holiday or something, that it goes on for years and years and years before one of you ever taps out of the left side emotional character 2 of your brain. So yeah. 24, acknowledge the 4 characters of your brain. 25, don't go against a professional that you trust. If you don't trust them, then yes, it can be normal or mundane even to question the judgment and authority. But if you do trust a professional, especially in the medical world, listen to them. So then I put on here my dermatologist story. I had a little annoying bump that I wanted my dermatologist to just remove. I was like, please, will you please remove this? It's just annoying me so much. It kind of hurts when I work out and I like bump it on something. And he just said it was like a blood blister. And he's like, I don't want to remove that on you because I don't want to leave a scar. And I'm like, please just remove it. It's uncomfortable, please. But I trust his opinion, guys. So instead of removing it, he said, let me just give it a little steroid shot. And boom, within a week, the bump went away. It's so easy to persist and keep on when we want something to be instantaneous. But if you respect someone and you have a lot of trust in a professional that you value as a person, and a leader and a professional, listen to them. Chances are they probably went to school for whatever you're asking them, or just have a great deal of knowledge on the topic. So again, you only know what's best for yourself, but if it's a professional, especially a medical professional, just listen to them if you trust them. Okay. And we already did all 25, but this is just kind of a little bonus bullet for you all. But say yes to everything. These are wise words of wisdom from my mom and dad shortly after graduating high school and starting my career as a single young female. They said it would get me really far and I would have experiences that I would cherish for a lifetime. This coming from 2 Leos. Can you imagine 2 Leos just saying yes to everything? I sure can. No, but seriously, guys, say yes within reason. Like I said earlier, if you really don't want to do something or something is not of interest to you, absolutely don't say yes to it. But this kind of also coincides with the little social anxiety demons that we get when people ask us to do cool things that maybe make us nervous. Just say yes and do them. I wish I had other things to list on here that, I almost said no to, but I'm just so abundantly grateful that I got over myself and I just said yes. I said yes, and then I had an incredible experience. Trying to think of one really quick. Okay, here's one. I had met a friend and years ago, and they also like to travel. And we decided on a whim to, just as friends, to just go to Puerto Rico together for New Year's Eve. And had I not have done this, it was shortly after my dad passed too, so I never knew that he was going to pass. I booked this like 2 weeks before he did, and I'm happy in that moment, even though it was scary going to a different country with someone I barely know. I'm happy that I did in retrospect, because I got to have the most spiritual New Year's Eve I've probably ever had. And so soon after my dad passed too, just having such an incredible experience in Puerto Rico really solidified that like my dad is here. He's with me. He's all around me. We sat in a drum circle one night with about 25 to 30 different people. It was New Year's Eve night, and every single person in that circle was from a different place, a different country. Some people didn't even speak English, and we were all coming together over the sound of music. And there was a torch thrower, like doing dancing with fire to the beat of the drums, and just people passing around sage and setting the intention. And I mean, it was truly a very ethereal experience as the sage got passed around, and I was just hearing all of these different intentions in other languages. And the girls that were next to me right before they passed it to me, I don't even know what the heck they said, but they were speaking French. And to this day, I'm just so glad that I said yes to this experience. It's one of the coolest things of my life. And even though it wasn't really in an ideal time to go, after my dad passing, I still went because that's what he would have wanted. My parents are the ones that preach this, the best out of anyone. Say yes to everything and be open to the unknown. Be open to new, invigorating, enlightening experiences in life, because that's what life is all about, experience. So that wraps up all of my 25 life lessons in 25 years of life. Thank you guys so much for being here in this awesome studio with me today. Whether you're tuning in, listening to me, you're tuning in, watching me, I am so grateful for all of you, and I hope that you all have a beautiful start to the new year. And it's Capricorn season, so let's go, let's grind, let's hold ourselves to all of these New Year's resolutions that we have set in place, and all of the things that we say that we're going to do, whether it be a new way of eating, cooking more, walking in nature more, spending more time with friends and family, getting more into your faith, into your spirituality, religion, meditating more, all of these things. So let's do it, guys. It's going to be a great year. And cheers to the first episode of 2023. Peace.